Hello, I'm Stephanie Toman again with Excel for Project Reports videos. I put this on the series, the Basic Excel Getting Started, just so that you may not be familiar with Excel. You might be using R, particularly in the subject area that you're doing, or something else to create data representation, charts, histograms, pivot tables, etc. But this is for anybody that's not using other software and wants to use Excel to do those things. And it gives you some extra ideas on other things within Excel as well. But to begin with, was just this overview with getting started on 2016. And if it helps, great. If it's too lower level, then just skip that and just move on to the other videos. I hope you enjoy.
Quick access toolbar, you know your file tab, you know your ribbon. There's some things you may not know in Excel, and that's for example, the insert function. So the insert function is a good help function. So if you're clicked in a cell and you're not sure about a function that you're looking for, you could put something in, count cells and go to, and then it will come up with some instances where it will help you. And you can see what they do. If you click on them, they'll give you an idea of what they do. Okay, and then it'll allow you to help you to do it, and we'll have a look at that. You've got the help feature, which is now just up here in the live one. And it's no longer a question mark. So you type in something in the exam, they might ask you to type in about a feature and then go to it and get help. Your title bar is quite obvious for a lot of you, but launchers may not be so obvious. So launchers in the corner of each of the groups on the ribbon will take you to the back end. Some have got them and some haven't. And you'll all know the font launcher when I bring it up. It's an old one where you can look right across the group of formatting within Excel. Okay. So another area that's important as well is if I put in a formula. So if I clicked, if I do B4 minus B5 and I put it in a cell, it shows in the formula bar. So that's what this area here is, and it's next to the insert function that we looked at. The way it's set up is columns going down in letters and rows going across in numbers. And the intersecting cell A1 is going to be the A lit up and the 1. If I went to C7, the 7's lit up and the C's lit up. So it's built in with grids that have columns as letters and rows have numbers. Okay, so let's move on. A lot of you will already know that, I'm sure. And then you've got, like I said, your active cell. That's one I was clicking in, which you can also see up here. So if I clicked in there, you can see that I've clicked in that one there. And we talked about the formula bar, column headings, row borders, and sheet names, the thing at the bottom, which is also very important. And you'll see that we can right click and do lots of things with sheets. One of the areas in the exam that you need to be aware of is the area in the file tab. So it's called preferences or it's called username options. And there's a save feature as well where you can change the file location. So if we go into the file tab and then options, this is much clearer here. I've done a print shot of it there. But in the general tab, the default tab, you've got something called a username. In the exam, they may ask you to change that username and they'll give you what they want you to pop in. And you just change it there. If they talk about changing the default local file location, in other words, changing where your files automatically save to when you do a save as, then you would be changing it here. And a hint, a good thing to do is overtype the areas you're changing, not just delete it all out. Type the whole thing because errors can happen quite easily in an exam, an online exam. Okay, so just be careful how you do things. That's quite straightforward. The rest of the stuff, like I said, is easy enough, scroll bars, etc. So let's move on. Okay, you can see here entering labels, things like that. I'm not going to go doing that. It's pretty obvious. If you've got a label, it sits to the left. If you've got data, it sits to the right. And there's a common examples there. However, what you can do with labels, if you do 2, as in on week 1, week 2, and you autofill this little cross in the corner here, right in that corner, see a little square, hover on it and drag and drop, and it will then complete that fill because it almost knows what the sequence is and it will do it for you. It's the same with these. If you highlight the first 2, it will complete the sequence. If you only highlight the first 1 and drag with the autofill, hard to get hold of it because this little picture, I'm going to shove that out of the way. So if I went there and did that, I'd just complete the 2 because it just copies. If I highlight the first 2 in the sequence, then I can complete the rest of the sequence. That's important in the exam that you remember that. Like the Monday, if you wanted that sequence to come down, you must highlight them both, not just the Monday, and then autofill the rest. Okay, so that's important in the exam. You can see ranges, so that would be B8 to D9. So that's the range over to there. If it was the purple only, it would be B8 to C9. That range there is going to be B8 to F8. So think about things as ranges as well as cells. Alignment, you can align things in a cell. You've got these 3 alignments that you would have normally, but because we've got a cell, we've also got these alignments too. So if you highlight some data, actually this one's probably better, the weeks, you can actually align them in the center of the cell, complete center of the cell, top of the cell, bottom of the cell, middle, keeps it all nice and succinct. So that's your alignment. Other areas is the fill handle, like we said, we've looked at that, and this is it, this little cross, and you're dragging it down, it looks like that. It's not going to do that. So it's not the white wider cross, it's the little black thin cross. And you can see if I do that, go over those, and then keep going and going. With regard to saving different formats, when you do the file save as, always use the browse in the exam, because in the online exam it will expect you to save to the Z drive and open from the Z drive if you need to get anything. So your Z drive will show up here and it will look like that with a Z where the C is. It may not have the OS, but it will be a Z in a bracket. Sometimes you'll get mixed up with the way that the question can be asked, and sometimes people think that the save as type is the actual name they're asking you to do. And a good example is that is when they ask for the 97 to 2003 workbook version. And sometimes people think that's the name, whereas in fact it's the save as type. So be really careful. This is the latest and the Excel SX. Okay, so you're thinking about where you're saving it, what type, file type, and the name could change as well in the exam, and then you'd hit save. If they don't ask you to save something in the exam, you can click on the answer and just move on. Okay, so I'll put some quick views there. As far as these little views here, these are the 3 here. You've got the full sheet, which we're in. You've got the page layout, which is really useful because if I bring it down, you can see how it fits on the page when you print it. It's not really good, is it? So we'd probably change that to a landscape. And then it's not brilliant either, so we might even change it to fit. But you can see the different views here. This last one here, the page break preview, this is where you can see that that page ends. And you can drag it over and go back to page there, and you can see now that I've included it all on that page, but it is quite small, so be aware of